As AI becomes more woven into the way we work, one skill is growing more valuable, not less, and that is curiosity. In a world where answers are only a few keystrokes away, or maybe a voice prompt, many of us have stopped asking deeper, better questions of our favorite AI tool. Well, today we're joined by an innovation leader who's helped many high level professionals and their teams rediscover the power of inquiry. And my guest today is Joe Lalley. Joe, great to have you on the program. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to be here, Jeff.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your clients you serve. We're going to set you up as the expert you are.
In my work, I through most of my career have done facilitation work. So I design and I facilitate workshops for clients in all types of industries, all types of shapes and sizes. Usually the common thread in all of those is an organization has gotten stuck. They maybe are having a hard time deciding on their product set or their roadmap. Maybe they're having a hard time understanding their customers and their behaviors. Maybe they're having a hard time engaging with each other. And all of those are challenges that can be approached with something that I have focused on a lot in my career, which is design thinking. So, design thinking is a framework, a mindset for understanding and solving problems. It involves developing empathy for whoever you're trying to solve something for, really working on that first so you understand it. And once you have that, then starting to shift to solutions, but working iteratively in those solutions. So building small increments, validating along the way, and avoiding the temptation to spend weeks and weeks and weeks building something and then putting it in front of people and realizing, oh, some of that was not on track. So that's a lot of the work I do. I just wrote a book that encapsulates a lot of the things that I have done in those workshops with clients, and a lot of my own just career experiences.
So, some watching, we're talking to the cleaning industry. They might wonder, what can you do for them? So, what are some of the types of clients you've helped?
Yeah, so healthcare, technology, legal, manufacturing, consulting. I've consulted with other consulting organizations. So a lot of different industries. Um, but what I've seen is this approach can apply really in all of them. While I haven't worked directly with folks in the cleaning industry, I feel like a lot of the tools and techniques that I've used in other places are applicable. Understanding how do people use spaces, understanding what are people's needs, what are people's pain points. I think all of that applies, and I think folks in this industry and listening to this podcast are in a good position because it's a physical experience, in many situations. Where I work with some clients where there might be a lot of distance between the product and the learning about how people use the product. Many people have stats and spreadsheets and things like that, but when it's a physical experience, I feel like there's this other big, big, really important data point that I think you all have.
So, we're going to talk about curiosity. So, I'm curious, pun intended. Why do you believe that this idea of curiosity has become such a critical skill at a time when AI can just instantly provide answers to any question you might have?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really important and potentially risky time. So there have been innovations throughout time, the loom, the plow, spell check, GPS, self-driving cars. There's all these things that have been innovations that helped us as humans do things faster, do things better. We were able to outsource our knowledge of spelling to spell check. So all of these things were focused on doing. AI does a lot of things, but it has this potential to allow us to outsource our thinking, outsource our opinions, outsource our judgment, and even outsource our curiosity. So I think that to me is a bit of a risk, is when, like you said, answers are a few keystrokes away. It's so easy to find information about everything that you would ask. Um, and it's easy to fall into a trap of just saying, well, what should I do? Make this decision for me. And if we lose that, I think we lose creativity, we lose original thought, we lose critical thinking. But I think the two can be paired really well. I think AI can be used to gain answers to to questions about, what has happened, what have people done, what are all the instances of a certain thing. That's hugely valuable and something that you can do so much faster. But then thinking about, well, how might I approach this, or how might I develop empathy for the people who are experiencing whatever it is I'm looking at? That's human. That's human skill. So I think we're at this critical time. I really hope that the two end up working well together because I think it's a great opportunity.
So that's interesting. What you just said almost sounds like you're having a conversation with an AI tool, not just putting in question after question,
Yeah.
like a search engine. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
use it in that way. And I have to guide it a lot. If, people who've used prompt-based AI
Mhm.
tools, you really have to provide a lot of information in order to get value out of it. It's not like a human who can kind of, put some pieces together, listen to your tone of voice, things like that. So you have to, I think, do a lot of following up. And you have to verify what you've learned. But it's been hugely helpful to me. I operate a small consulting business, um, and it allows me to research other organizations that potentially I would want to work with. I can do that so much faster, and walk into a first meeting with more knowledge than I probably could in the past. But that's research. I've used that to help me learn about other things. But yeah, I think it has to be. You have to really be thoughtful and intentional about what you ask it to do.
Hmm. You're probably not old enough to know this, but there was a time when we wanted to do some research, we'd go to the wall and pull out an Encyclopedia Britannica, a thick book, and
Oh,
you'd
I
have to look
remember
at.
them.
Oh, really?
They were beautiful. They, fit so nicely and
They
neatly
did
on
look good.
the shelf.
And I don't know how often it was, every year or every two, someone would come by to sell you an update because
Yeah,
information gets old or outdated. You have to have a new set of expensive books,
yeah,
and it wasn't that easy to get that information. So we do have it easy these days, that's for sure.
yeah. A lot easier than that. Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
Is there anything unique you'd like to share that you use AI for, that how you use it that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't know how unique this is, but I have fully switched to using it for my own customer service. So not how I service others, how I receive customer service. So, for my business, I use a variety of different software tools, and some of those tools need to talk to each other in some way, or maybe I need to change settings or upgrade or downgrade. And it's tough to work your way through um, the that software organization's help. Many of them have AI-based chat, but it's not quite there yet. It's, can sort of handle the base level things or the common issues. FAQs are hard to wade through. So, and even just Google search is hard to find answers. But I have seen such success where I put in my problem and I ask my AI tool to just go out and figure out the answers because it can comb through all this information that is there, but would take me a lot longer to go through. So that's honestly my maybe the only unique thing, and I say it's potentially unique just because I haven't heard other people doing this yet, but I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I don't really use search engines like I used to. I don't want to do an ask a question or put in a prompt and get a bunch of links I have to go look at.
Yeah,
I love the idea of here's the information, here's your report. And
yeah.
you could say that's too long, shorten it.
Hmm.
And it does that for you. So
So easy. Yeah.
yeah, so the research part of it is something I really value. In fact, I researched you a little bit and I
How accurate
noticed
was it?
it was good information. No big secrets here. But you
That's
teach
good.
teams to move from knowing to learning.
Yeah.
Talk about that. What does that mean for organizations?
Yeah. So what I've seen in a lot of organizations, and I experienced this myself, is sometimes the more senior you get in your organization, or the more experience or expertise you gain in something, you just feel compelled to know the answers. You feel like everybody's looking at you as the one who knows. And you start to forget what it was like to not know those things. And you start to suffer from what I call the curse of knowledge. And the curse of knowledge is basically, it's hard for you to imagine what it's not like to know something because you know it so well. A simple example would be, if I were to hum a tune to a song right now and ask you to guess it. If you weren't able to guess it, I would struggle with that because I know exactly what it is. And it's hard for me to imagine you not knowing it. And that happens with lots of different fields and industries where people start to reach a point where they stop asking questions and they stop being curious. What I try to do with companies that I work with is start to reignite that, start to get them back to that 5-year-old level curiosity that we all had, where we used questions to go from not knowing to knowing. Because questions, I think, can kind of evolve into some negative motives over time. So just helping teams get away from that, I think, really helps them just make breakthroughs.
Yeah, what you just said there, I resonate with because we do that. We know something. You know that movie we saw a couple years ago, and you describe it and you and they just don't get it. So
Yeah, right. And you
somewhere
can't
there.
imagine why.
Yeah. Because you know what it is, or both of you should. But something else as I was thinking about today is that you draw on design thinking and improv.
Yeah.
And we like improv, right? That's cool. Talk about that. Can you explain how that can help people become more curious, adaptive, and even open to exploration?
Yeah. So I learned about design thinking 15 or so years ago. I attended this 3-day executive boot camp that Stanford University was offering. I had no idea what it was, but my boss sent me. And what I learned there was this process of developing empathy for your customers, your users, whoever, your audience, by speaking with them directly, observing them directly, going in with a totally open mindset with a learning agenda. I had worked in other fields, and I thought when I spoke with customers, my job was to convince them of something or tell them how good what we were building was, and it really changed the way I thought about work. So after that program, I began to base my decisions about product requirements or specifications or a roadmap really based on what customers were experiencing and what they needed. And then the other component of design thinking is once you've kind of defined a pain point or something that somebody's experiencing, then you begin to generate potential ideas. And the idea at that point is to go really broad. Don't evaluate your ideas just yet. Because once you start generating ideas and evaluating them at the same time, it just limits the ideas. And some of those, wild breakthrough ideas may not make it to the surface. After generating those ideas, then start to test little bits of those with the people who would actually use them and just see where you're on track. And these don't have to be fully built out ideas. They can be really rough. I've worked in events actually, which maybe is close to the cleaning industry, but help people design their booths at trade shows. And, we put together cardboard and, duct tape and things like that just to see what kinds of experiences might work. So design thinking is a framework for doing all of those things to get the hard stuff done early and do it much faster. Um, Improv is something I think every professional should do in some way. Super uncomfortable. So I did another 3-day boot camp with my team doing improv. And some of the principles of improv involve fully supporting your team. So if there's a scene going on and maybe somebody is having a hard time articulating their line or acting out a certain thing, you jump in and you have their back and you help them. You are there to support each other. Your focus is on how do we make this really good for the audience? That is it. It's not how do I stand out? It's not about me, it's about them. So I think that's a really good lesson for building products is thinking about who is this for and how can we all as a team support each other to get that. The other really important thing is active listening. So in improv, you have to be paying attention. You have to listen to what was just said. You are hanging on every word that your teammates are doing, but you're also listening to the audience. What's resonating? Where are they getting it? Where are they confused? And that active listening allows you to make your next move, your next decision based on what you've just learned. So it's not scripted. It's not a plan. The only plan is to just support each other and listen. So design thinking and improv, I think, lends so many lessons to business, product development, and just understanding customers.
This sounds like commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing, but some might say it's not for me. So let's talk about that. Like leaders in an organization, they might say, I have good people, but they're project people. You give them a
Yeah.
job, they're going to get it done.
Yeah.
Thinking of that, what can they do to make their teams want to do what you just described, want to do the uncomfortable, the
Mhm.
improv, the design thinking out of their element? Because that will make a positive difference. But how do they do that?
Yeah, I mean, they have to be open to it. The leader has to, they have to demonstrate some amount of vulnerability. And the simplest thing I think a leader can do to encourage their team to think outside of the box and come up with new ideas is just ask questions that you don't know the answers to. That simple act demonstrates to the group, okay, it's all right to not know, and it's all right to figure out how we would know. And that is a way to invite in new ideas. So I think that simple move, which is uncomfortable for a leader, I felt this when I reached higher levels. I thought, well, people look to me for the answers. So I should have them instead of a bunch of silly questions. The other thing that's sort of related is I think lowering lowering the value of the act of making a decision. Decision, and what I mean by that, so decisions sometimes are treated as these monumental events. We've got to make the right decision. We've got to get all the information. If we get this wrong, it's going to be really bad. And it puts so much pressure on the decision. But I think the more important thing is what do you do after the decision? How do you react to the new information that the decision has revealed? And do you make any pivots? And if you can kind of lower the temperature on the decision itself, then it changes from this monumental moment to just a way to move forward and learn afterwards. You might make a decision today and tomorrow learn some new information you didn't have, and that might cause you to go a different direction or pivot. So I think if leaders can switch their mindset on decision making, but also ask questions that they don't know the answers to, I think those go a long way.
So we've both heard that listening's the best way to teach
Yeah.
because often when we have an issue or a question or a problem or project or whatever it is, we probably know the answer.
Yeah.
But talking to someone who can ask questions to lead us that in that path, that right way to that correct conclusion, I mean, that's a skill.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple when you think about it. Just listen,
Yeah.
ask the right questions. So good information. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Last point, talk about this. Do you think curiosity will become a differentiator in who thrives or who struggles in an AI powered workplace moving forward?
I hope so. So I think, as we were talking about before, I think there's such a huge opportunity right now for that to happen. And I think one of the reasons maybe people are struggling with where do I get started with AI? How do I make my employees use it? How do we make our company take advantage of it? Is there's this thinking that AI is there to do things faster and be more productive. And organizations will hand AI tools to their employees and say, be more efficient, be more productive. And if you reframe the task elimination kind of mindset and change it to problem elimination. So instead of go find all the things you can do with AI, it should be go find problems. And then here's a tool available to you to potentially solve those problems. Um, I think that reframe can help us take advantage of human curiosity and the power of AI. I heard a study that there was a law firm that gave internal AI tools to their paralegals, their team of paralegals. And half the group, what they were told is use these tools to be more efficient. The other group was told use these tools to eliminate the things you hate, to stop doing the things you hate. And they measured usage over time, and they found that the group who was told to use it to eliminate the work you hate, their usage was so much higher than the other group because of just this slight reframe. So I think just that little thing can be a huge, huge breakthrough for teams.
Yeah, that team, the ones that did that were doing something they wanted to do, get rid
Yeah.
of things they hate. I mean, that's human nature.
Yeah. Yeah.